All right, hello. Welcome everybody. Jackie Vits here, starting off with like a different usual type of thing on here. We've got an interview playing here with Optimus Prime Productions, or as it's known on YouTube, Smitty Plays.
How's it
Um,
going?
yeah, there you go. This is something that we sort of planned out as like a celebration for his newest episode of his fan series, Transformers Into Darkness. It's a stop motion series that you can see on his YouTube channel. It's raked in like hundreds of thousands of views, so it's got clout. Um, yeah. As of this recording, the episode has not aired yet, but it will air on Friday. It'll have aired on Friday, um, and this should be coming out like a day or two after the episode. So yeah, and keep in mind, I have not seen the episode. I have not read the full script because I don't have the full script. So I'm only going in with the context of my own scenes. So yeah, this will just be an interview about like a general series in general, as well as like just where Smitty Plays creative juices come from and whatnot. How do you like me to address you this? Smitty Plays, OPP, Smitty?
However you feel most comfortable, I'm fine with any of them. I have too many usernames. It's kind of hard when I got two usernames and I made mo most of my friends on Instagram. So it's like you got people who call me OPP and then some people who call me Smitty. It's like I don't really mind either or.
Yeah, it's a lot like Voice Critical. It's like Penguin Z0, Charlie Bravo Voice Critical.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the starting questions are mainly about you, just sort of like where your interests start and whatnot. Uh, so, like, what is your background in filmmaking?
Honestly, just self-taught stop motion. In terms of actual schooling, anything that I would have taken in language arts in school, we usually did like about every year from grade 7 to 12. They do some type of like film studies portion of the unit. And that was always the most fun. I always excelled, and we always started it with with it in the year. So my grade would peak in the high 90s, and then it would drop as we like moved on to like Shakespeare and stuff. Um, but as then in grade 10, so which is our high school. I'm from Canada, so I know it works a little bit differently down in the States a little bit. But our high school starts in grade 10. From 10 to 12, they had a communications technology course that I took every year and absolutely loved. I got to actually submit a lot of my projects for it. I think my season finale, episode 9 of season 1 of Into Darkness, I was actually able to submit as a project, which was really cool. Um, and maybe the Godzilla versus Kong one, I think was the other one I submitted, but either way, like it was cool to be able to actually sit at home working on my projects as an actual school project and kind of having a good excuse to use it instead of doing my other homework. But and I ended up actually getting the top student award for that in grade 12, so that was actually quite cool.
About a year or two ago, you made a video like showing off like a slate of fan films you're planning on doing, which include like a Fight Club or like a Transformers What If. What
Right.
what happened to all of that?
That was when life was a lot slower and I thought I had a lot more time than I ended up having. And it came to a point where there were lots of cool concepts I was willing and excited to do, and then ultimately like life just hit me and I kind of had to decide what I wanted to stick with, and I knew Into Darkness was 100% one that I needed to stick with. And both What If and Fight Club would be also major series, so I wasn't really wanting to pile on another series or two, so I ultimately kind of shelved those for now. I might maybe get into one of those as one-offs here in the future if I ever get the time, but I think what people want to see right now is mostly the continuation of my series, and for me to be able to do other projects that I'm passionate about, not just Transformers. Like if I do, let's say, like more Godzilla, or I've been planning on maybe doing some more Jurassic World dinosaurs type mini stop motions or something like that. Like it's ultimately it's just not where I didn't have the time and I didn't quite have the heart in for it when I had previously announced it. And I've learned it was actually right after I think the finale of Into Darkness. I was quite burnt out. There were some other things going on in my life and all that. And I just like it was just at a point where I was just burnt out from stop motion. I was terrified that had lost it for who knows how long. So I took it easy. I think that was the reason why there was such a big gap in between. I think I did a Batman stop motion, and then there was a big gap in between that and episode 1 for season 2 of Into Darkness, and that was during the period where I was severely burnt out. And it was because when I was making Godzilla vs. Kong Part 2, I was wanting to do Into Darkness. And when I was finishing up one of my Into Darkness episodes, I was wanting to do Godzilla vs. Kong Part 2 or something along those lines. And I felt that I kept working on projects where I was excited for something else. So I took the time just to like relax, reset, and I then started on Into Darkness season 2. And then I've been a lot better recently, and I've been trying to stick with and work on projects that I'm actually motivated to do at that time. Um, I've been a lot more consistent now recently. I'm definitely trying to stick with my motivation for Into Darkness for a little bit. But I'm also kind of trying to sprinkle in a couple other smaller stop motions of other franchises and stuff in there to kind of like spice things up and keep my creative juices flowing, I guess, in terms of just experimenting with other franchises. Because it gets, not that I like, obviously I love Transformers, that's why the bulk of my channel is that, and the bulk of my passion is in those kinds of stop motions, but it's nice to kind of change it up every once in a while so you don't burn yourself out.
What do you do when you get writer's block?
Sometimes I just have to step away. I have to either think about something else, maybe I'll go draw, maybe I'll just listen to music. Music helps me a lot, actually. Like, if I'm kind of in a position, if I know what project I'm working on and the kind of tone and theme of it that I want, I'll listen to music and movie soundtracks that are related to it, and it kind of just springs these different ideas in my mind. And it's like a network. It just all of a sudden things start popping up, things start piecing together. There's things from previous episodes that pop back into my mind. I'm like, okay, I can tie it back into that. I can set this up for a future plot line for like season 2, season 3. Like the music is one of the big things that just it's a nice calmer and it just links things for somehow in my mind. Like I can't even explain to you how it works, but it's one of those things that just snap in it. It works.
All right. Speaking of Godzilla versus Kong, did you expect that to get like a million views?
Nope. I thought it was actually gonna do I had a good feeling it was gonna do well because I had seen the trend because I had posted it roughly 2 months, a month and a half after the film had came out. So I was a little worried that the hype had died from it because during COVID that was the only big thing that was around. So like that had 100% of everybody's attention, which I, as a big MonsterVerse and Godzilla fan, was very happy about. So I was very passionate and motivated about the film. So I wanted to do a first real big stop motion about it because I did one many years ago. It's one of my first uploads. It's a very, very crappy Godzilla stop motion. But I was working with what I had at the time, and obviously you need that stepping stones to get where a person is now. But um yeah, like oh, wow, why am I blanking on the question? Wow, that was really bad. I went off on a tangent and I lost it.
Yeah, the problem was just like it's just like when there's sleeper hit things that a lot of movie studios do.
Right, sorry. Like so there was a couple other ones that were out at the time that were getting quite big views and I was like, okay, like I've been getting a lot more traction, a lot more subscribers from Into Darkness. I was like, I might as well just throw my hat in the ring and see if something works out. Like I think I put a lot of effort into the buildings and I really felt passion. Like even looking back and watching it, I can see passion written all over every frame of that video, which most of my videos are, some of them aren't, which that's a whole nother story. But it just I was shocked looking at it going up and like it's like on YouTube it gives you a breakdown of your past 10 videos and how they did at the exact same time that you're viewing the video. And it was catching up, staying on par, and now it's passing my Into Darkness videos. And I'm like, wow, I was like, is this thing seriously still going? And I just kept checking it every day. I'm like, wow, this is actually, I guess, like the algorithm just happened to pick it up and everybody liked it enough. And I guess maybe the thumbnail was good enough. Like, I have no idea. And all of a sudden, it's just doing massively well, which I was quite happy to see.
Yeah. And finally, what was it like meeting Peter Cole?
That was awesome. It was I've been wanting to meet him for quite a few years now. And honestly, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I was going into it having heard this story. It's like, oh, he's such a nice guy and all that. And I knew that in my heart, but it's like, I still took myself back in case there was the very slim chance that that wasn't the case. So I already had high expectations in the back of my mind, and he exceeded those expectations when I met him. Like it's actually crazy how like nice of a guy he is and like how down to earth he is too. Like it was really cool to finally be able to meet him and kind of chat with him. Obviously, there were so many things going through my mind. I wasn't sure. I was just kind of like trying to keep myself cool, and I think I managed to get my words out properly and didn't really stumble over them, but it was a very neat experience and just yeah, very down to earth guy and got quite a few things. I guess many people might know, like I got this package, so I got a picture with him. Um, I got an autograph, and then I actually got a personalized message from him too, which was really cool. So that was definitely and a day and experience that I will not forget anytime soon.
Now, moving on to the series itself, Into Darkness. Um, how did it come to be?
So this would have been around end of 2019. Um, I think I was hot off of like that whole year of 2019. I did a bunch of scene recreations from the Bayverse movies. And it was around the last one, which I think I did the Optimus versus Bone Crusher fight. And it dawned on me, I was like, seeing all these other series on YouTube, I was like, why don't I get in on that? I was like, all I've ever done is one-off little videos and parts and stuff like that and scene recreations. It's like, why don't I try and come up with my own story, my own characters and storyline and like I was just itching to do that and just I was like it had dawned on me for the first time at that point and I think it was after specifically I'm actually gonna look up what it was specifically, but it was one of Leo Legendary's Transformers videos. I'm pretty sure it was it's the one where Optimus cracks open Megatron's head. I I don't remember what it was called. I think it's something. Oh yeah, Megatron Rises Chapter 3. I watched that one and it's just something dawned on me. And there was a couple other ones in there too. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting them. But I remember that was the main one where I sat there and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try a crack at writing and doing a series like that'll run long and kind of hopefully gain a small traction of fans. And then I think it was about first day of 2020, actually, I put out the teaser. Like, I think I created the name and the title back in all the way in November of 2019. And then I put out the first teaser in December, end of December. And then I just started filming. I filmed the first and second episode back to back. And then it just kept going from there. I met lots of people that I'm still friends with today, and it's overall been a really good experience, and it's been really fun and a good way to get my, I guess, creative itch out. But yeah.
So I know this is kind of like a loaded question, so you could answer it in like the shortest way possible if you want. How does the production process work? You do all the marketing and casting and writing, and of course editing and whatnot. So just like in a very brief process, like how do you kind of describe that?
Yeah, basically like Joanne Ying does a lot of like promotion. Like she's very good in that terms, and I've always been very grateful. I think she was one of the first people I actually cast for the series, which so she's been there basically from since day one. She's done a lot of that. I know, I think
So if they
it
don't
goes,
know, she is the RC triplets actually.
yes, yeah, yeah, RC triplets. Um, so yeah, she's done a lot of both voice work and behind the scenes work for me, which has been really nice. But other than that, I basically just start at an idea. I write down, so I don't even start with the script. I start down with a page of just ideas and bullet points of what I want in the episode, and then I get to writing. And the dialogue comes to me naturally, and I just make connections here and there. And then once I have a rough draft, I'll go over it again. And if I like it, then I just continue with it. Then I start filming, and then after we're done filming, I go into first I do the all the voice lines, and then I save all those, make sure they're all good and paced well, and then I go into the music and sound effects, and then piece all those scenes together, and then boom, that's another episode.
Mhm. What program do you use?
For stop motion, I use Stop Motion Studio. I've never really had a reason to use anything different or better. Like it's always worked really well for me. I know there's a lot of animators that still use their phones or their iPads, and it still works really well for me. Like I think I'll probably continue to use it. Like my editing softwares might change or upgrade, but I think I might, for now, at least for the foreseeable future, I might stick with that same app for now, and then I just use iMovie to edit the rest of the stuff.
So you've actually had some composers like craft some original tracks for your series.
Yeah.
Um, how do you collaborate with them, and could you like tell us which tracks were the original ones?
Yeah, so I feel really bad that I'm forgetting his name. Our very first, he did tracks just for the scene where the Autobots leave Cybertron at the very in the very first episode. Um, so there was that one, and then I didn't really bother because just I felt kind of mixed about it, and then I started using more of the movie and video game soundtracks and that from then on. And then it was about the finale that I realized I was like, oh, maybe I could get another track, and I kind of wanted something that was a little more orchestral rather than like techno, which the first guy was. And then that's when I can't exactly remember off the top of my head how I met Jared. So Jared Walker he did the Optimus versus Megatron, the start of their fight in episode 9, like the finale of season 1. He did that song, and it's very good. There's a possibility I might be working with him again in the future. And then in season 2, the fight between Shockwave and Ultra Magnus is also an original song, or score, which I approached Jared again, and he said that he was very busy because he does a lot of fan scores and he does them very well, and it's very impressive. Um, but he directed me to Leo Mayer. I might be pronouncing his last name wrong, but so he ended up doing the piece for me that was at the end of that movie or that episode, which was episode 1 of season 2. And also again, really well done. And there's a couple projects that I'm working on that I think Jared's up for, and I might even ask Leo if they want to like partner on it in the future, because They are very impressive. Like it's really crazy to see what people can do in their own homes on their own computers nowadays.
Um, Favorite episode that you've made?
That's tough. Honestly, I'm gonna exclude this new episode, episode two, because quite honestly, it's my favorite episode. This episode two of season two. I think it's the step ups that I've done with the production, with the sets, with my overall stop motion in general. I'm incredibly proud of it. Like I think it's one that I'll look back on and still think it looks quite good rather than kind of cringe and be like, okay, I could have done that differently. But if we're gonna look back at season one, I really did enjoy kind of that episode four and five changeover. So episode four was the episode that Ironhide fights Thundercracker and then he gets abducted. And then at the end of that episode, and then leading into the episode five is when they meet the humans.
That's
And
me.
yeah, yeah, they meet General Rice. I really enjoyed that those two episodes. They were actually quite fun to do. But I actually think it would have to be down to like episode seven or eight. So seven is when Optimus starts getting the visions from Sentinel Prime trying to contact him. Um, and that's the one where Drift kind of goes after Shatter and Dropkick. That episode I was very proud of. And then episode eight, which I think is still my most popular and best episode to date, is the one where Starscream like injures Chromia and then Jazz has to step up to the plate to help her. And overall, I really enjoyed making that episode. And like I remember there's some shots that I'm still quite impressed that I managed to pull off in that one. But yeah, I think answers all over the place, but I think eight, four, and then this new episode are probably the standouts for me.
Have you had aside from just like older videos naturally not aging well, have you just had any regrets so far in the series?
Speaking of episode eight, I really wish I had set up Jazz being able to handle the medical situation a lot better. That's something that I look back on and I'm like, I wish I so easily could have handled that at the start of the episode and I didn't. And it's like, but that's what season one was. Is season one was a big test trial to see, like, it was my first crack at doing the whole writing thing in depth because obviously I write my other stuff, but this is like writing a consistent series with consistent characters. And that one has always kind of bugged me. But honestly, one of the biggest things that has bugged me is killing off Sandstorm and Breakaway in the first episode.
Hmm.
I really wish I kept them alive, if I'm being completely honest, because I look back and I look at the series and it's like they were two characters that weren't heavily marked by the movies and they were a little more obscure characters, and I think that could have been really cool to kind of explore them as the main characters of this new show. And I think at the time I was so interested in just focusing on like improving and showing more of the Bayverse characters that were in the movies and giving them the proper development that they deserved. That I kind of got lost in that, and that's something that I've kind of slowly come to the past couple of years, and it's kind of a regret, but I mean, I gotta roll with it now, and I have a lot of more plans to make the characters that are left a lot more in depth and give them a lot more personality and just different struggles and just go forward from there.
Yeah, maybe if Studio Series had been doing a concept art figures back then, probably with that differently.
Yeah.
So, how do you handle and incorporate criticism of your series?
Well, honestly, criticism is the best thing at times because that's the only way you're gonna get better. You just you take it as it is. Sometimes, like even the stuff, even the criticism that you look at and you're like, okay, how does that really help me? Um, it can still help you in one way or another. Whether there's just some you might take more seriously than others, but it's like I think it's important to take everything that comes your way and kind of filter through it and truly look at it and think about it, not just dismiss it. Um, like I've improved my episodes from a lot of reviews that people leave, and I've made different changes that have improved my series overall because of criticism. So I think it's quite a healthy practice and quite healthy to always be open to it, not just push it away.
Mhm. Um, so with the way you've cast a whole bunch of people with like a whole bunch of characters, and you've got like a grand scale going. How do you balance the scale of the series?
So I guess that could kind of go back to the regrets question, and that at times I kind of regret making the cast so massive because I think it would have been maybe easier to handle character relations and stuff. If the cast was much smaller, I guess let's say like animated or Prime, they have much smaller casts, and you can kind of like play with that dynamic a little bit more. But ultimately, it's something that I've just kind of like accepted, and I love working with all the people that voice for me. It's lots of friends I've made over the years, and it's just something you kind of balance, and you just sometimes more characters open up different dynamics that you can kind of like play around with, and sometimes it works out for the better. And that's kind of at the point where I'm at now, where this episode I've actually kind of tried to partner up some of the Autobots together with pairings that they're not usually with. Like we'll see um I guess Sideswipe and Jazz we've seen before, but there's partial bits where you see Sideswipe and Bumblebee kind of hanging out. You see Jazz and Ironhide meditating. Jazz is trying to help him out with some stuff and inner anger issues and all that. But it's like it's um it's kind of like playing around with different character dynamics, and especially with some of the new characters that I introduced in this episode. It was really fun to play around with some of those character dynamics, and I think that's something that is going to be a lot of fun working with going forward.
Mhm. So obviously, when you're writing and conceptualizing in your head, it's gonna sound and look pretty different from how it comes out. Because when you send the scripts to us, we're gonna deliver our lines pretty differently from how you imagine it. How different is it, and like how do you just kind of deal with like, okay, this is how they're gonna say it, so I'm gonna try and meld it with my vision type thing.
Sometimes I guess that could be something that I should maybe clarify a little bit more. I've thought about maybe just giving you guys the full script just to get a feel of it. I think I might actually try that out with the next episode here. Um, Sometimes it just works out, and sometimes I do a lot of where I just let you guys be your characters, and then it works out. Sometimes if it's something I really don't like, I'll ask you guys to redo it in a certain way. And lots of the time, if there is a very important line that needs to be a certain way, I will leave it with a bit of a like an extra note um under or beside the line just to kind of show a little bit more importance to that line delivery. Yeah, a lot of it is just rolling with the punches, and a lot of it just works out anyways because it's like you guys are the characters, and it's showing through your guys' performance and then just matching it with what I've already got.
Mhm. So for season two, episode one, how did finally how did it feel to pick up, from like a year-long cliffhanger, and with the second episode, how's it feel like to pick up from a year-long hiatus? Another hiatus, just not a cliffhanger necessarily.
Well, this was one of the episodes that I was actually really excited to do because it's, I think, the closest and probably the most that an Into Darkness episode will ever feel like a day in the life, I guess. Like
Like a
it's
slice
kind
of
of
life.
like the Autobots are kind of at like a point where they're relaxed. The Decepticons are extremely crippled. They're extremely low. They have nothing. They've had to abandon their base because the Autobots now know where it is. And it was really fun coming back from that other episode to just kind of play with these new dynamics and just fit in a lot of character development in there and fit in some really cool fight scenes as well. I think everybody's gonna really like, and I'm very happy with how they turned out. Um, and just it's really relieving coming back to it, like after, especially after I was kind of burnt out, and then I came back and did that episode, and then life got in the way very drastically, and it slowed everything down, and it's really relieving now to actually have the episode fully completed and uploaded, and it's really exciting, and I'm now more than I think any other episode, other than maybe the first episode or the finale or something, I'm very excited to see what everybody's reaction to this one is.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, especially with like the season premiere for this episode for this season, you feel a lot of the same way, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Both
And
episodes.
actually, about that, sorry to interrupt you. About that, I was actually really relieved, and I'm hoping it's the same thing with this new episode that a lot of people still came back. I was thinking maybe I would have lost a lot of audience or a lot of people, but about the same amount of people came back, and hopefully that's the case for this one too.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no problem. It's just yeah, both episodes expand the scale of the series, and I think that's what's going to draw a lot of people in, you know.
Yeah.
So, uh, and probably the selling point of this new episode, what inspired the massive change in like visuals, like backgrounds and diorama building and whatnot?
Honestly, the main thing is just competition. Just like, and it's not, it's one of competition's a harsh way to put it, but just seeing some of the other stop motion animators out there and how some of them are stepping up their game, it ultimately naturally causes you to step up your game. And looking back at some of my other sets, I wasn't happy with them. But now, like the ones that I've come up with for this episode, I sit there and I look at it, and I'm like, yeah, this is we're moving in the right direction. And that's actually partly why there was such a long gap in between episodes, is because there were so many props I had to do. I made two brand new ships, one of them from scratch. One of them I built off actually one of the old Arc, Dark of the Moon Arc toy play sets, which is the I won't tell you whose ship it is, but it's called the Alpha Crusader. And that name is 100%. I just made it up on the spot. I was like, it has to be something like this. And it kind of clicked. I think Alpha Destroyer was another one, but I was like, I kind of like Crusader a little bit better, and it so I ended up picking that one. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of sets. Like the Nemesis, I built the entire massive like bridge for it, and there was a lot of detail and a lot of time that went into that, and that's going to be seen for probably a good solid rest of the series. Um,
I got the
so I
mileage on that, yeah.
yeah, and just making new computers and stuff like that. Little things like little more detail that I can put in rooms. Like it's just so it's not just blank. There's more detail to it. It's more of a painting in a way, and it makes things pop more. And I think it was necessary for me to make this series better was to upgrade that, and it's I'm very happy with how it's turned out.
Hmm. So moving into our final section, just got a couple questions here. Just the future of your channel and the series, I guess. What do you hope your channel can do for you in the future?
There's so many ways. I think right now it's the perfect outlet to just like it's one section of like a core bit of my happiness to be able to do my hobby still and just put out stories that are in my mind. There's very little that's more satisfying than being able to write out and envision these stories that I have and then put them into script form and then actually put them into some type of physical visual format. And I'd always thought about doing comics or possibly even getting into animation, which I'm not against now, but it's like the the outlet that stop motion has given me to just express my storytelling and my thoughts is just it's incredibly satisfying and rewarding, and it's just the channel gives me a perfect opportunity and a perfect place to put that out there, not just for myself, but it's also incredibly satisfying and rewarding that there's an audience for it too. that makes it all the better. And it's really cool to see people actually excited about the stories that I write and the stories that I create, and it's very inspiring and very motivating. So as for, I guess, you could even look at it from career path, which I think also could be taken from your question too. Um, I thought about film school. There's a lot of different routes that I've been thinking about going. Like one of my main things I've been pursuing is air traffic control currently. Um, but film school has kind of been creeping in a little bit more if that's something that I wouldn't want to take, or maybe some type of animation route. Like I think there's many different routes I could take from just my experience with my YouTube channel, even if it's not even something to do with filming or anything like that. If it's just some type of video editing job or like some type of who knows what.
Mhm. Yeah. And yeah, aside from future episodes of Into Darkness, are there any future projects that we can expect? Any like specific ones?
I have a couple. I want to try and do more little stop motions that I can post in between large weights. Um, so I'll start off with non-transformer stuff. I thought about doing a lot of like little Jurassic World kind of dinosaur shorts because with my new sets and like all the trees and stuff I have, I've been extremely excited to just see what some of my dinosaur figures look like in it and just kind of like play around with that. And then I'd love to do some more like Godzilla type stop motions. Hiya Toys recently, and I think next month it's supposed to ship out they made a female Muto from the 2014 film, and then in November they're putting out their Godzilla 2014 figure. And that's one of my favorite films of all time and probably my favorite MonsterVerse film. And I've always wanted to do a stop motion centered around Godzilla and those two Mutos. So that's one, and that one's still way down the pipeline. I'm still waiting for them to put all three of those figures out. But that's a stop motion I'd be very passionate about to make, and I'm very excited to do that. Um, but there's one project, and I know we talked about this before, John, of me bringing it up now. I've been actually developing a very big passion project film about Megatron, and I think I'm going to turn it into a trilogy. And I've kind of been deciding when I want to announce it and how I kind of want to loop it in with Into Darkness because it's it's also going to be probably a big gap before I post one of those because there's a lot of sets and stuff that I have to create for that. And I've been trying to figure out how I want to kind of loop it all together and juggle it, maybe work on both projects at the same time, which I've been writing the script for the first movie right now and kind of like weaving that in with working on Into Darkness as well. So that's a project I'm actually very excited to work on and I'm very passionate about and I think people will very much enjoy.
Nice. Yeah. Um, yeah, looking forward to all that. Of course, there's really no predictable way for any of us in the creative field to get things out, especially when we're doing these as passion projects. But
Yeah.
you've been going strong for like 4 years, and you've kept an audience, and you've kept a lot of the same creatives like voice actors and promotionals and whatnot.
Yeah.
So personally speaking, out of interviewer mode, I've got a lot of good faith in it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really nice to work with the same core group of people. Um it's you made a lot of friends along the way and it's like it's very exciting to continue to work with them and just especially as we all mature and you see everybody's voices get even better and people get new mic upgrades and stuff and I hope that hopefully everybody but at least the main core of all you guys will carry on till the end of this series.
Yeah, maybe the real Megatron trilogy was the friends we made along the way. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wrapping up here, again, this interview is being recorded before, but will be releasing after the new episode reveals. So yeah. by then you will have heard me as General Bryce and Autobot Trax in the episode,
Yeah.
and you will have heard Optimus Prime Productions as like a multitude of characters throughout the series already. You could list them off if you like, but you know.
Not in this Vegas episode, but Megatron. I voice Soundwave, which you will hear in this episode, and then I also fill in as Sunstreaker and General Morshower. So
Yeah, and you also did Sentinel Prime, right?
yeah, Sentinel Prime as well.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of little background characters. Sometimes if it's like I don't want to bother bugging somebody about this, I'll just fill it in myself, or and then just carry on with that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. So a lot of creative juices flowing in here, and no spoilers, but I have been filled in on some details in future episodes, and trust me, I don't think this will be like the last interview we do, or at least just the last sort of creative outlet that we do, just discussing
yeah,
stuff. Um, yeah, this was a new thing for both of us here. New thing for my channel, new thing for him to express his creativity and just explain where he comes from and whatnot. So yeah, this was pretty fun to do. Thank
yeah,
you
it's been.
for thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's actually been a lot of fun. We'll have to do definitely a lot more. Maybe throw in some more cast members in here too, and just they're quite fun episodes to do. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, we'll see you next time. Maybe after discussing season 2, episode 3, maybe discussing whatever. But regardless, we'll be discussing peak content. So yep. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.